Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm here with Ron Placone and Steph Samarano, the miserable liberal.
Hello.
Howdy, Steph, howdy. Show us that
T-shirt.
T-shirt.
Here's my beautiful T-shirt.
Look at that. That's a nice T-shirt. Get that at right.
I got it at spread.com.
Spread shirt?
Yes. Oh, let me take a sip. Hold on.
Oh. Oh, nice. We should probably put a link up at the website for our spread shirt, right?
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that. There it is there? Oh, I didn't even know. Where is it? It's there? You'll show me? Okay. Okay, so shop. All right, so get your ticket, your mugs. It's a great way to help support the show because they keep demonetizing our videos.
Yeah, we talk about controversial things like war or the state of journalism. Controversial things that we talk about, folks.
They literally demonetized a video. The title was Journalism's Death Rattle Going Unnoticed by Journalists. They demonetized that because it had... Anyway, who knows?
We hurt journalism's feelings.
We did hurt journalism's feelings. So now let's talk about net neutrality. Now, I got tipped off by this. I watched the Humanist Report, and he talked about this. But first, I want to show you this video, because everybody was going crazy over this video a couple of days ago of Ali Vesci and his co-host smacking down a Trump spokesperson over economic ideas. Ready? Here we go.
Long term, the number one catalyst that nobody's going to talk about, especially your show and others like this, is the number one catalyst is the corporate tax. This is the market mover. If I was a CEO,
Brad, hold on a second. Brad, hold on.
Yes.
You're talking to financial journalists, right? I don't know if you were going to bring this up, so I don't have the chart ready, but we always put it on. I can find it, and I can tweet it out to you. This market started going up on March 9th, 2009, and if you have a ruler, it's a pretty much straight line from there to now. So there is nothing Donald Trump has done to cause the market to be where it is right now.
And President Trump would like tax reform to get it done, but those who are working on it have said the president is doing nothing to advance that agenda. And look at those CEOs that are on that council who walked away from
Stephanie,
him.
I want him to answer my question, because you guys keep peddling this myth that Donald Trump is responsible for this market. You are a market guy. You have seen the S&P 500 since March 9th, 2009, right?
Absolutely.
So do you give Barack Obama credit for all of the stuff that happened from March 9th, 2009 to January 20th, 2017?
The number one driver of this
Answer the
market
question, Brad.
hearing,
Answer the question, Brad.
And what is the question?
Do you give Barack Obama the credit for all the stuff that happened from March 9th, 2009 to January 20th, 2017? Because if you do that, then you realize it's not Donald Trump.
Look, right now, the commander-in-chief is Donald J. Trump. And in terms of the market mover, what's going to actually move this market, and what we're seeing now is job creation. President Trump has created over 1 million jobs.
Oh, my goodness. Brad, stop it. For heaven's sake. You know that in the last 6 months of 2016, there were more jobs created. In the first 6 months of 2016, in the last 6 months of 2015, first 6 months of 2015, last 6 months of 2000. I mean, I can just keep on going. Donald Trump's not even close to being the largest job creator in the first 6 months of his presidency. There are 4 recent presidents who do better than him. Why do you continue to say these things?
Brad, yesterday, Steve Schwartzman walked.
So this goes on, and he keeps saying, you're on with this is what we do, we're economics journalists. Who do you think you're talking to? He goes on and says stuff like that. So everybody was patting him, and I was patting him on the back. Good job. He also did a nice takedown of somebody arguing against single-payer health care. Ali Vesci did a great job. Ali Vesci's a good reporter. So that's how I know he knows his stuff. He's not afraid to stand up to somebody and tell the truth. I've seen him do it. He's super smart, So that's why this is very disconcerting. So first, we're going to show you what they played on MSNBC. They're talking about net neutrality. They have a little video that explains what net neutrality is about, which is a pretty okay video. But then let's watch the discussion that the two hosts, Ali Vesci, has afterwards. Okay?
Neutrality says the internet needs to be just like electricity. Once you pay to get online, you can do whatever you want. Obviously, many companies and customers like net neutrality.
The proponents of net neutrality are a wide bunch. A lot of internet activists who really care about the principles behind an open net, joined by a lot of companies that also care.
Big tech companies like Amazon or Netflix don't want anyone to be restricted from accessing their products. And you don't want to have to pay more to get that access. But small companies also rely on net neutrality.
The big entertainment companies like Netflix could afford to pay the internet service providers to get premier special access. The problem is for the little guys and the startups. If they can't afford to pay for special premier access and the user doesn't find it or finds that their content is very slow, then they're not going to succeed.
So who doesn't support net neutrality? Well, the companies who provide the internet connection. Comcast, parent company of NBC Universal, is one of the top 3 internet providers in the U.S.
So just let that sink in for a second. The people who own MSNBC are against net neutrality. So the people paying Chris Hayes, Rachel Maddow, Joyanne Reed, everybody else, Chris Matthews, they don't want net neutrality, which is why they almost never talk about it on MSNBC. And here they are actually talking about it, which shocked me, shocked the Humanist Report, shocked that they were talking about it. And they're actually kind of talking about it in the correct way, kind of right now. But here, just wait.
Opponents of net neutrality are primarily internet service providers who argue that without being able to maximize the profits of providing internet service, they won't expand and improve and speed up the service.
For their part, internet providers say they've always favored an open and free internet. What they oppose is increased government regulation.
The real solution to net neutrality is competition. In the short term, however, most of us are stuck with 1 or 2 internet providers. And there isn't competition. Thus, net neutrality advocates are asking for protection from the government, at least for a while.
Yeah. Hey, if we had 50,000 internet providers, I wouldn't need to have net neutrality probably, because there'd probably be a bunch of providers that wouldn't throttle our content, meaning slow it down. So you understand how net neutrality works, right? So if the Comcast wanted to charge a premium for internet for content providers, creators like us, for our website or our videos to stream in real time fast, they could say you have to pay extra money for us to do that. And we go, we don't have that money. We're small. Well, Netflix is paying it. Well, then we just get squashed so that no one can get our content because it's being throttled slower. Right. So what it is net neutrality is everybody's content is equal, meaning if you go to my website, it loads just as fast as if you go to Netflix or Google or anybody else. It's the same speed, the same service. You don't get to. So that's what net neutrality is. And it's really important to a free and open internet. And if you don't have net neutrality, just a handful of really rich guys will be able to afford to have their stuff go on the internet in real time in the speeds it's supposed to be. Does that make sense?
Yes, and in the Title II designation, that basically means that the internet's treated like a phone line, or like the other analogy people use is like running water. You know, if I call you, or I call the White House, or I call wherever, it's just treated like a phone call. That's the same thing here with the internet. No one can impose any regulation or anything like that. It's just equal access, and everything's treated with the same speed.
Right, and they're also coming very close to making it sound like someone wants to put added regulations on. There's no added. We have net neutrality right now. We want to keep it the way it is. No extra regulations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so back to this video. Now let's listen to their conversation. Now I already showed you how smarty pants this guy is, right? So that's why this is a little disappointing.
Virtually nobody says that there shouldn't be any regulation of the internet or internet providers. I guess the argument for the internet providers is that they went and built this thing. They put the infrastructure in. They built the highway, and everybody else gets to use it free.
Okay, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Comcast did not build the internet. The internet was built through the California universities and the government came together to form the internet. So what he's talking about, they built the internet, then everybody else gets to use it for free. Who gets to use it for free? Ron, do you get to use the internet for free?
No, I do not. Yeah, I took a lot of opposition to that part, too. I was like, everybody should send this guy their internet bills, because, since it's all gratis, he wouldn't mind fielding them, I guess.
Yeah, we all get to use it for free, and they built it, for F's sake. You mean the people who have a monopolistic control of internet delivery actually put a cable to your house so they could charge you? That's what you call building it? That's what he calls building it. They literally put a cable. We're going to put a cable that goes to your house and no one else. You can't send it to another provider, just to us. And we're going to put, and that's called building it. You mean you put up a monopolistic infrastructure? You call that building? I guess so. I guess that's what he's referring to, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay. Yeah, expecting an honest news report on net neutrality from MSNBC is like expecting an honest report on fracking from DAPL. That stands for Dakota Access Pipeline. Anyway, back to him saying this stuff.
They want to be able to make enough money off of it, so they have to cut some deals to do that.
Yes, but the argument, Jeff.
oh boy.
They want to make some money. They just want to make some money to pay for that. They have to cut some deals to do that. You're telling me that the internet providers who have monopolistic power right now in the United States aren't making money off of providing internet? Is that what he's saying? That's what he's saying.
Yeah, this guy's done some great work in the past that we've talked about. But yeah, I was like, how was anybody not watching this, not throwing stuff at their television at this point? I mean, you get nickeled and dimed by these companies constantly.
The reason why I showed you that other video is to show you that this guy is a smarty pants and he does know his stuff. And he's been a reporter for years and years and he knows everything. And so what he's doing here is playing dumb for his bosses. That's what's happening. And if it's not what's happening, I wish he would come on the show and explain himself, because it gets worse.
Jarvis talks about competition breeds innovation, and that's great. But if it's all about competition, the biggest guy will always win. This is about innovation and entrepreneurship. You've got to leave space for that new guy to get in the game. Otherwise, Amazon and Google will control the world.
And, look, we've got
No, that's a good point. She makes a good point. So that's the problem. They keep making good points, and then they start mixing propaganda with good points, right? Which is the best kind of propaganda. So here we go.
Ongoing debate on all sorts of levels about what amount of regulation is correct for the government. And keep in mind that this conversation's been evolving over more than 100 years, and now you've got the internet. The government's not up to speed on figuring out how to regulate it.
What the F is he even talking about? That is complete bullshit. He knows it is. And this is the power of money. How much money do you think he makes a day? $10,000 a day? $15,000 a day? I'm going to say probably around $10,000 a day. $50,000 a week, probably, this guy. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But that's what that is. That's what that is. He is not going to tell you the truth about this. He sounds like a politician. If you're doing a story on net neutrality and you're sympathizing with the internet service providers, it might be because you're owned by one.
Yeah.
And this is the lefty station, so people think he's telling the truth about net neutrality.
It's the pretend lefty station.
Yes.
It really is. And I think I just want to remind everybody from now on that anytime you hear that word regulation, that's corporate speak.
Yes.
Because really what you want to remember is protections.
Those are protections. Internet
Absolutely.
protections, not internet regulations. Great point, Steph. Internet protections, because they protect people from predatory capitalists, right, who want to wreck the internet. Let's go. There's more to this.
Important. So for the Googles of the world who are saying we want this regulation light, one of the issues is government just hasn't caught up with technology. No one has, given how fast things have
There are
moved.
23-year-olds inventing some of the...
Again, this is all bullshit. This doesn't
this
have
is-
anything to do with anything. This doesn't have anything to do with what they're talking about. The government hasn't caught up with technology. This has got nothing to do with new apps being made. This has got nothing to do with new computers. This has got to do with the internet being equally accessed by everyone. That's all it has to do with. It doesn't have to do with anything else. It doesn't have to do with new apps or technologies going. Oh, we can't. How do we regulate this new technology? It just came out last week. We've had the internet since the 90s. So we know what we're doing, Ron.
Yeah, and keep in mind, Title II, first of all, Title II does not give the government necessarily some overreaching power. Keep in mind, Tom Wheeler didn't want to do it. Tom Wheeler didn't want to give the Title II classification. Why? Because he was a lobbyist.
Right.
But the public twisted his arm into doing it. That's why the public demanded it. That's the other falsity she kind of parroted there that I have a problem with. Yes, Google and Netflix and places like that, they want net neutrality. Do they want it for selfish reasons? Yeah, I think it's safe to say they do. It helps their business model. But The public also wants it. They're unlikely allies in this fight. But to make it out like net neutrality is a fight between two different conglomerates is not true at all.
At all. Let's listen to some more of this.
Fantastic websites and these apps, and the government is still thinking about the way it applies trade regulations when Staples and Office Depot want to merge. So it's complicated. It is important to remember this isn't
It's not complicated. So they're bullshitting. They're trying to pretend like this is very complicated and the government doesn't understand it yet. And, the government should really just lay off. That's what's happening here. And that's happening because he's owned by the corporation that wants to end net neutrality. And they pay him thousands and thousands of dollars to sit at that desk on a daily basis. Thousands of dollars a day to sit at that. Thousands of dollars a day to sit at that desk and say that. And that's why a guy who's as smart as he is, probably a million times smarter than me, and he's got balls. This guy's got balls, except when he doesn't want to have balls, which is right now, which is why he is doing this. He's pretending like it's complicated and it's tough to understand and the government doesn't know how to regulate it because they're behind the times and this is all bull, all of it. And it's happening on MSNBC, and everybody was lauding this guy just a few days ago on how you're supposed to take someone down and not let him bullshit you. And here he is bullshitting at the top of his lungs at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Want to hear some more? Here we go.
Entirely black and white. Generally speaking, even the internet providers say they're okay with a light touch in regulation. And their argument is that this entire internet has grown with relatively light touch regulation. Why do you want to throw more onto it?
No one wants to throw more we want to keep it net neutral. No one wants more So is he talking about because moving it into making it a utility? Is that what he said? That's the more regulation? Is that what he's
which
talking
we've
about?
already done. And prior
Yes.
to that, it was assumed, those laws were assumed. Then Verizon challenged it. So there was that big court
Yes.
case, and then everything happened with the FCC, and then people commented so much the website crashed, and then we got Title II designation, which basically assured and cemented what was previously assumed.
So they're glossing over lots of stuff.
Yes.
They're
Very
glossing
much so.
over lots of stuff, and that right there. That's the look of a guy doing the bidding of his corporate bosses at the tune of maybe $5 or $10 a day.
Yeah.
That's that look. Look. Come on. Where do you think you get those fucking cufflinks? Where do you think you get those cufflinks? Telling people the truth about net neutrality? You think you get cufflinks like that telling the people the truth about net neutrality? Because I tell you right now, you do not. Those are cufflinks. Those cufflinks come. Ooh, look at that. Cufflinks. Cufflinks talking about net neutrality. Who are you going to believe? Short sleeve jagoff comedian or Mr. Cufflink? I'm sure he has your best interest at heart. I'm sure he's not trying to save his job and please his bosses. I mean, I'm sure he's trying to save his job and please his bosses right now. This is what happens. I know it secondhand because Cenk Uygur told me all about it. They give you more money when they want to quiet you down. They give you more money. They offer Cenk more money to do a shorter show with less airtime on the weekend. More money. They offered him more money. He was already winning his time slot. He said no thanks because he knew what that meant. That meant he was being neutered. There's a guy. He's not going to the weekend. That guy's keeping his spot, baby. Let's listen to some more.
The counter-argument is the internet's really grown a lot. There are some issues. We need to regulate it.
You've got to regulate it. Problems haven't come yet, but guess what? They always do.
So she says problems haven't come yet. What? Problems haven't come yet? Well, I don't know if you remember, what started all this stuff was Netflix was getting throttled. They were slowing down Netflix, and people couldn't watch it. And that's what started all this. And then most recently, Verizon. Verizon is doing things to allow their content that's produced and distributed by Verizon to be, like, for instance, you can watch it without it be counting towards your data. But if you watch somebody else's content, it will count towards your data. So do you see how they're already pushing people towards their own? So that's not neutral. So that's already happening. That already happened where they throttled Netflix. This is stuff that's there's already been crises that have already happened. So maybe she doesn't know. I'm not saying she's misinforming on purpose about that part, but she doesn't know about that part. And it's weird when you're on MSNBC because when I do a show like this, I have Ron here, I have Steph, we have Arno and Brian, and everybody has lots of things to do. When you do a show like that, you got about 40 people working on that show, literally 40 people. Now, and he has an assistant. She has an assistant. He has They have producers for the show. They have assistant producers. They have interns. They have writers. They have executive producers. They have directors. They have stage directors. They have technical directors. They have all kinds of people. So for her to not know, to go, hey, has this ever been a problem before? All you have to do is ask, and someone will go, I looked it up. Here's what what I'm saying is they have resources at MSNBC. So when they get something wrong, it should be a super big deal. We have zero resources here. So do you see what I'm saying? Okay. So that is very disconcerting to see that happen. What do you think? Do you think that he's purposely doing that? I do.
Yes. I think there definitely are. They're making it all blurry and fuzzy, and it goes back to that whole thing. Like when they say net neutrality, I need to hear net neutrality protections for you.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and their owners, Comcast, their very explanation is complete and utter bullshit. Their explanation is we're all about a free and open internet, but Title II is not all about. That would be the equivalent of me being like, hey, Steph, I would never kill somebody, would you? No, I'd never kill somebody. So it's bullshit we have laws against murder, right? Don't you think that's a bit of an overreach? What would you guys think about me?
I don't need those protections.
Yeah,
right.
You'd be like, I don't want to sit next to you anymore, Creepsack Magoo. You sound like you're up to something. Like that, it's the same premise here.
Wow. So Comcast, hey, we're committed to a free and open internet, really? And the FCC goes, well, how about we ensconce net neutrality in law? Whoa. A little bit of an overreach. I thought you were committed to free. Yeah, we are, but not for real. Not if you're going to put it in law. So there you go. So that was a bit of a, again, and I would do the same thing, by the way, Ollie. Ollie, I'm not making out that I'm a better person than him. I would do it if they paid me. My God, I'm totally willing to sell out. No one's made an offer.
I think what happened was they were just like, so here's the company's official stance on this. Mm-hmm. Can you kind of neutralize this and make a nice little presentation? And he rolled his eyes and said, okay.
Well, how about the fact that they're never allowed to talk about it? Mm-hmm. Ed Schultz got fired from MSNBC for talking too loudly against the TPP, which Comcast was in favor of. So Ed Schultz talked against it. They fired him. So that's why you get news reports like this. Exactly. That's why they never talk about net neutrality at MSNBC. And when they do, it's like that. Like, we really know it's complicated. It's not complicated. It's not complicated at all. And he knows it's not complicated. And again, I'm not a morally superior person to Ali Veshi. I would do the same goddamn thing for a pair of cufflinks like that.
And when we say the corporate media is a systemic problem, this is one of the many, 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 for instances, that we have to show for that.
So doing a news report with cufflinks on, it's like doing a news report with a kerchief. What the F? What are you doing? Anyway,
Jimmy, I think you need to come in tomorrow with an ascot.
I'm going to wear an ascot. Oh, yeah, an ascot. What's a kerchief?
Goes right there.
Oh, no, I'm talking about an ascot. A lot of people do the news with the kerchief, but an ascot. I meant you knew what I meant. I meant a Thurston Howell III ascot, baby.
All right, well, I'm getting a top hat then.
Why not wear a top hat? Hey, everybody, we have 2 live Jimmy Dore shows in September. September 25th, we're in San Diego, and September 18th in Burbank, California. Get your tickets right there. There's a link right there.